The hall was filled with golden chandeliers, the fragrance of roses, and the sound of clinking glasses. Everyone smiled, laughed, and whispered blessings for the couple who seemed destined for happiness. At the center stood Maya, radiant in her crimson bridal dress, her heart pounding with dreams of love and a new life. Beside her was Arjun, the man she believed was her protector, her partner, her forever. But little did Maya know, the night that promised her happiness would instead plant the seed of her deepest wound. As the rituals ended and the guests slowly left, Maya's father pulled Arjun aside. He handed him an envelope, her dowry, something Maya had begged him not to give. "Take care of my daughter," her father whispered. Arjun smiled politely, but his eyes glimmered with greed. That moment was the first crack Maya didn't see. Later that night, as the couple entered their decorated bedroom, Maya's heart fluttered with excitement. She expected warmth, love, maybe even tenderness. Instead, she found distance. Arjun barely looked at her. He sat on the bed, scrolling through his phone, while she stood awkwardly, her hands trembling. "Arjun, is something wrong?" she asked softly. He glanced at her, his voice cold. "Don't act innocent. You know why I married you." Maya froze. "What do you mean?" Arjun smirked. "Your father's money, the land, the connections. Did you really think it was for love?" The words cut deeper than any knife. Her dreams shattered in seconds. Days turned into weeks, and Maya's nightmare only grew darker. Arjun treated her like a servant, not a wife. His mother joined in, taunting her, mocking her, breaking her spirit piece by piece. She tried to reach out, to fight, but every time she was pushed back with cruelty. And then came the final blow. Maya overheard Arjun speaking to another woman late at night. His laughter was warm, his voice tender. The love that was never hers, he had given to someone else. Her blood turned cold. On the surface, Maya remained silent. She smiled when guests visited, bowed her head when insulted, and played the role of the dutiful wife. But inside, a storm raged. A voice whispered in her heart, "They betrayed you. They destroyed your dreams. But this isn't the end. This is the beginning." Maya stood in front of the mirror one night, her tear-streaked face hardening into stone. "No more tears," she whispered. "They took my love. Now I'll take everything they love." The vow was made. The fire of revenge was lit. And once Maya's heart turned to steel, there was no turning back. The house was not a home. It was a prison dressed in silk curtains and golden frames. Every morning, Maya woke to the sharp voice of her mother-in-law, Kamla Devi, barking orders. "Get up! Don't you know the servants are lazier than you? If you want to stay in this house, work like one." Maya swallowed her pain and tied her dupatta tighter, stepping into the kitchen where the taunts never ceased. She chopped vegetables with trembling hands while the women of the family mocked her cooking, her clothes, even her silence. But Maya had learned something in those weeks. Silence was not weakness. Silence was armor. The first blow. One evening, while setting the dinner table, Maya overheard Arjun laughing with his friend. His words were casual, but they cut her like knives. "She's nothing but a showpiece, useful for the family's reputation. I'll get what I want from her father, then." The sentence trailed off into laughter. Maya froze, the serving spoon shaking in her hand. She wanted to scream, to throw the plates, to demand answers. But instead she placed the food gently on the table and walked away. Inside, her heart was breaking, but her mind was recording every word. The letters' weeks turned into months, and Maya started writing letters in a secret diary. Not love letters, but records of every cruelty, every betrayal, every conversation that revealed the truth about Arjun and his family. "If they treat me like a servant, I'll act like one, but servants remember everything." At night, when the house slept, she would sit by the dim light of a lamp and pour her pain onto paper. But along with her pain, she wrote her plans. Revenge was no longer just a thought. It was becoming a blueprint. The hidden flame one afternoon, Maya visited her father's home. She hugged him tightly, hiding her tears in his kurta. He was old, frail, and unaware of the monster she had married her into. "Are you happy, Betty?" he asked, his eyes hopeful. Maya forced a smile. "Yes, Baba, don't worry about me." But when she left his house, her smile faded. She knew Arjun was using her father's land as collateral for shady business deals. She knew the man who had raised her with love would one day be left in ruins because of her husband's greed. And that was the moment she decided. If Arjun wants to play with lives, I'll show him what it feels like when a life strikes back. The silent training. Maya began to change quietly. She started reading books on finance, law, and psychology that Arjun carelessly left around. Every word became a weapon, every page a lesson. At family gatherings, she stayed quiet, but her ears were sharp, her memory sharper. She picked up secrets, alliances, weaknesses. To the world, Maya was still the submissive bride. But inside, she was a volcano preparing to erupt. The betrayal unfolds. One night, unable to sleep, Maya wandered into the living room and heard whispers from Arjun's phone. It was that same woman again, the one who carried his tenderness. "I can't wait till you're free of her," the woman purred. Arjun chuckled. "Don't worry. Soon, Maya will be out of the picture. I just need a little more from her father." Maya's hands turned into fists. Her chest burned, but her face stayed calm as she tiptoed back to her room. Lying in bed, she stared at the ceiling, her heart pounding like a drum. That night, she didn't cry. She didn't break. She transformed. The vow strengthened. Standing before the mirror again, Maya looked at her reflection. The timid bride was gone. Her eyes were sharper now, her lips tighter. "They think my silence is weakness," she whispered, "but silence is the sharpest blade, and when it strikes, it cuts deepest." Her diary lay open on the table, a page filled with names, dates, and plans. This was no longer just revenge. This was justice waiting to be delivered. And Maya was ready to become the executioner. The days passed, but Maya's silence was no longer submission. It was strategy. Every insult, every betrayal, every cruel laugh that echoed in those walls became fuel for the fire building inside her. She had stopped reacting, and that unnerved everyone. Kamladevi would taunt her. "Arjun deserves better than a lifeless doll like you." But instead of breaking down, Maya simply lowered her eyes and murmured, "Ji, Maji." What Kamladevi did not realize was that each insult was sharpening Maya's blade. The gathering Arjun was preparing for a grand party at their mansion, a gathering of businessmen, politicians, and family allies. Maya was ordered to play the role of the perfect hostess. "Smile, serve drinks, look pretty," Arjun commanded coldly. Maya obeyed, her face calm, her hands steady. But behind her eyes was a storm. She listened to every deal, every whispered bribe, every promise sealed with liquor and greed. That night, she noticed a powerful politician slip an envelope into Arjun's hand. She saw the nervous glance between them and heard the word that sent a chill down her spine. Illegal. Maya knew now. Her husband's empire wasn't built on ambition. It was built on rot. The mask slips. Later that evening, as the guests laughed and music filled the halls, Maya retreated to the balcony for air. She was staring at the stars when she felt a presence beside her. It was Vikram, Arjun's cousin, a man sharp, observant, and oddly kinder than the rest. "You're quiet tonight," he said softly. Maya forced a smile. "I'm always quiet." Vikram studied her face, and for a moment, Maya felt seen. But then he whispered something that made her blood run cold. "You deserve better than Arjun. And one day, you'll take it." Maya's heart skipped a beat. Did he know her secret? Or was it just a careless remark? She didn't answer. Instead, she returned to the party with her mask firmly in place. Planting seeds. Over the next few weeks, Maya carefully started building her invisible empire. She befriended servants, charmed accountants, and quietly slipped into conversations where secrets leaked like water from a cracked vessel. A bribe here? A forged signature there? A small recording hidden in her dupatta. Piece by piece, she was weaving a net around Arjun, a net he wouldn't even see until it was too late. The spark of power one afternoon, Maya accompanied Arjun to a business meeting. He dismissed her as a pretty distraction, letting her sit silently in the corner while he spoke with wealthy investors. But while he bragged about his fake accounts and false land deeds, Maya was memorizing everything: names, numbers, dates. At one point, she caught the eye of one investor, an older man named Mr. Kapoor. He noticed her sharp gaze, her intelligence hiding behind silence. When Arjun left to take a call, Kapoor leaned in and said quietly, "You're smarter than you pretend to be. If you ever need an ally, you'll find me." Maya said nothing, only lowered her gaze, but inside, she smiled. For the first time, she realized power attracts power. The broken mirror. That night, Arjun came home drunk, his temper blazing. He accused Maya of being too friendly, too ambitious, too clever. In his rage, he smashed a mirror beside her, shards scattering across the floor. Maya stood still, her reflection broken into 1,000 pieces. But instead of fear, she felt clarity. This is who he is. A man who destroys without thought. A man who believes I am nothing. But what happens when nothing becomes everything? She bent down, picked up a sharp shard of glass, and held it in her palm. It cut her skin slightly, a thin line of red appearing. She didn't flinch. She didn't bleed fear. Instead, she whispered to the broken mirror, "Someday soon, Arjun, you'll look into the glass and see the truth, and it will destroy you." The Silent Queen. From that night onward, Maya began carrying herself differently. She dressed with quiet elegance, spoke with measured calm, and carried an aura of quiet authority that unsettled the household. People began to notice her, not as a helpless bride, but as a woman of presence. And Maya realized something vital. Before she could destroy Arjun's empire, she had to build her own. And step by step, she was becoming the queen behind the mask. The days of silence were over. Maya was no longer a ghost in Arjun's mansion. She was a shadow that moved quietly, unnoticed, yet touched everything. She had realized the truth. To destroy Arjun, she didn't just need proof. She needed power, and power could not be begged, it had to be taken. Whispers in the dark. Maya started with the servants. She treated them with kindness, remembered their children's names, and slipped small gifts into their hands. Slowly, they began to trust her. One night, in the dimly lit kitchen, the old cook whispered, "Bahuji, do you know where Arjun keeps his files?" Maya pretended ignorance, but her heart raced. "Files?" The cook leaned closer. "In the study, behind the painting of the horse. But be careful, he checks it often." That night, long after Arjun had passed out in a drunken haze, Maya tiptoed into the study. She moved the heavy painting aside and opened the hidden cabinet. Inside were files, contracts, and black books, evidence of land scams, tax fraud, and illegal accounts. Her fingers trembled as she turned the pages. This is it, she thought. The empire he built on lies. She didn't steal anything that night. She only memorized. Step by step, she was weaving her trap. The unexpected ally. A week later, Maya received a message slipped under her door. It was a single line. "I know what you're doing. Meet me on the terrace at midnight." Her heart pounded. Had she been caught? Was this a threat? That night, she climbed the cold steps to the terrace. The moon was high, casting silver shadows. Waiting for her was Vikram, Arjun's cousin. He looked at her with an intensity that made her uneasy. "You think you're hiding it well, but I've seen the fire in your eyes. You're not the same quiet Maya anymore." Maya stayed silent, her face calm. Vikram stepped closer. "I hate Arjun as much as you do. He stole what should have been mine. I was supposed to run this business. Instead, he used his cruelty to push me aside. If you want him destroyed, I'll help you." For a moment, Maya's instincts screamed, "Don't trust him." But she also knew the truth. No empire falls without allies. She looked into his eyes and whispered, "Then we rise together." Seeds of betrayal. Together, Maya and Vikram began to set the stage. Vikram gave her access to financial records and whispered rumors in her ear. Maya spread those rumors like poison, carefully planting doubts in the minds of Arjun's partners. At family dinners, she would drop subtle words. Strange, isn't it, how some deals never seem to profit the investors? Or, I heard the minister wasn't happy with the last land purchase. Each sentence was like a spark in dry grass. Soon the whispers grew into murmurs, and the murmurs grew into suspicion. The dance of masks. But Maya knew she couldn't reveal her cards too soon. To Arjun, she played the dutiful wife. She laughed at his cruel jokes, poured his drinks and smiled when he showed off. Inside, she was laughing at him. Because every time he underestimated her, every time he called her useless, he was handing her another weapon. At night, when he slept, Maya would sit by the broken mirror in her room and whisper to her reflection, "Not long now, your kingdom is crumbling." A test of fire. One evening, Arjun returned home furious. "Someone's leaking information," he barked. His eyes narrowed. "And I'll find out who." Maya's heart thumped, but her face remained calm. He grabbed her wrist roughly. "You've been too quiet, too perfect. What are you hiding?" Maya met his eyes with a calm she had never shown before. "Nothing, Arjunji. I am only what you made me." For the first time, Arjun hesitated. There was something in her voice, an edge, a strength, that unsettled him. He pushed her away with a growl and stormed out. Maya smiled faintly. "He's beginning to fear me." The gathering storm weeks turned into months, and Maya's shadow grew larger. She now had the loyalty of the servants, the suspicion of the investors, and the secret alliance of Vikram. But with power came danger. One night, as she was leaving the study after copying some documents, she heard footsteps. She froze. A hand grabbed her wrist. She spun around. It was Kamla Devi. The older woman's eyes burned with fury. "You think I don't see what you're doing? You may fool Arjun, but not me. You're nothing, Maya. Nothing." Maya straightened her shoulders, her voice cold. "Then watch closely, Maji. Watch how nothing becomes everything." For the first time, Kamla Devi faltered. The daughter-in-law she had mocked for years now stood taller, her voice sharper, her presence undeniable. The queen in the shadows. That night, Maya stood on the terrace, staring at the city lights below. She was no longer the girl who had been humiliated at her wedding. No longer the helpless wife caged in golden walls. She was a queen in the shadows, pulling strings no one could see. And though the storm had not yet broken, the thunder was already echoing. Arjun's empire was beginning to rot from within, and Maya was the poison flowing through its veins. The empire of Arjun Rathore had always looked invincible from the outside. Glass towers, fleets of cars, ministers shaking his hand with forced smiles. But empires are not destroyed by outsiders. They collapse from within, and Maya had become the crack in his foundation. The fractures begin. Arjun's investors began pulling out one by one. The rumors Maya had planted now echoed like truth. His name, once synonymous with power, was now whispered with distrust. At a lavish business gathering, Arjun raised a toast, his voice loud and arrogant. "To my empire, which no one can touch." But as his glass clinked with others, Maya noticed the eyes around the table. Cold, calculating, silent. The next morning, 2 of his largest contracts were canceled. Arjun raged like a wounded lion, smashing glass, breaking furniture. "Who dares defy me?" he shouted. Maya watched quietly, her face innocent but her heart sang. The fall has begun. Vikram's gambit. Meanwhile, Vikram pressed Maya for faster action. "We have enough documents to bury him," he said one night, pacing her room. "Why wait? Strike now." Maya shook her head. "Not yet. His pride is his crown. Let's make him lose it first. Then the throne will collapse on its own." Vikram studied her with admiration. "You're colder than I ever imagined." Maya's lips curved faintly. Pain teaches lessons no school can. But inside, she wondered, was Vikram her true ally or another predator waiting for his chance? Cracks at home. Kamla Devi, once the proud matriarch, began to feel the tremors. She often found her son drunk, muttering about betrayal. The servants no longer obeyed her orders blindly. They looked at Maya before answering. One evening, she confronted Maya. "You think you've won their hearts?" They will leave you when Arjun throws you out. Maya looked at her calmly. Maji, what happens when the lion himself is too weak to roar? Kamla Devi's face turned pale. For the first time, she feared her son's downfall and the rise of the woman she had despised. The breaking point. The breaking point came with the minister. Arjun had bribed and blackmailed officials for years. But when the evidence of his fraud landed anonymously on the minister's desk, his protection vanished. Police raids followed. Accounts were frozen. Media headlines screamed, "Rathore Empire under fire. Corruption scandal explodes." Arjun stormed into his study, tossing papers in rage. "Who did this? Who? I will destroy them!" Maya stood at the doorway, her face calm. "Perhaps, Arjunji, enemies are not always outside." He spun toward her, suspicion flashing in his eyes. "You..." But he stopped. He couldn't believe it. His meek, broken wife? No, it had to be someone else. Yet a seed of doubt had been planted in his mind. And it grew like poison. The fall of a king. Within weeks, the Rathore name became a curse. Business partners abandoned him. Politicians stopped answering his calls. Friends disappeared. The mansion, once filled with parties and laughter, now echoed with silence. One night, Arjun sat slumped in his chair, his face pale, his hair disheveled. A half-empty bottle of whiskey lay on the table. He looked at Maya with hollow eyes. "They've all left me. Everyone. You don't know what it's like to fall from the sky." Maya stepped closer, her voice low but sharp. "Oh, I know, Arjunji, because you pushed me once, and I have been waiting for the day you would feel the ground break beneath your feet." Arjun froze. The mask slipped from Maya's face for the first time. He saw it, the steel in her eyes, the vengeance in her heart. "You," he whispered, trembling. "It was you all along." Maya's lips curved into a cold smile. "Yes, it was me." The last blow. But the story didn't end there, because a fallen king is most dangerous when cornered. The next day, Arjun disappeared. His phone was switched off, his office abandoned. Panic spread among the servants. That night, Maya found a note slipped under her door. "I will not go down alone. If I burn, you burn with me." Her fingers tightened on the paper. The war was not over. Shadows deepen. Maya walked to the terrace, the wind whipping her hair. The city lights below flickered like stars. She had brought down an empire, but the final chapter of vengeance still awaited. Because Arjun was not finished. And neither was she. The king had fallen, but kings often rise again for one last battle, and Maya was ready. The mansion was darker than usual. Its grand chandeliers were unlit, its marble halls eerily silent. Once a palace of arrogance, it now resembled a tomb. Maya stood in her room, holding the note Arjun had left. "If I burn, you burn with me." Her heart raced, but her face remained calm. She had waited years for this final act, and now the stage was set. Arjun's return. It was past midnight when the sound of tires screeched outside. Maya looked down from her balcony to see Arjun stumble out of a black car, his eyes bloodshot, his shirt half torn. Two men followed him, rough-looking, dangerous. He shouted up at the mansion, his voice echoing, "Maya, come out! You think you can destroy me? You think you can play queen in my kingdom?" The guards hesitated. None moved to stop him. Once loyal, they were now afraid, confused, unsure whose side to take. Maya descended the grand staircase slowly, her steps echoing like the ticking of a clock. When Arjun saw her, his laughter was manic. "There she is! The witch who fooled us all. Tell me, Maya, what do you want? My empire? My life? My blood?" Maya's gaze didn't flinch. "I only want what you took from me, Arjun. My dignity, my years, my peace, and now, I'll take yours." The confrontation. Arjun staggered forward, pointing a trembling finger at her. "You think you're stronger than me? I made you. Without me, you were nothing but a beggar." Maya's voice cut like steel. "Without you, I was free. And now I am stronger than you ever were." Vikram stepped out from the shadows, his presence startling Arjun. "You're finished, Rathore." The world knows your truth. There's no throne left for you to sit on. Arjun's eyes narrowed. And you, Vikram? Partnering with my wife to destroy me? Traitor. But Vikram only smirked. I didn't destroy you, Arjun. You destroyed yourself. Maya only lit the match. The fire, Arjun roared, pulling out a pistol from his coat. The guards gasped, stepping back. He aimed it at Maya, his hand shaking. If I lose everything, Maya, I will make sure you lose too. For the first time, the mask slipped from Maya's face. But instead of fear, she showed calm acceptance. Do it, Arjun. Pull the trigger. End the story here. But even if I die, your empire is already ashes. Your name is filth. Your kingdom has crumbled. What will you rule over? Dust? Her words pierced deeper than any bullet. Arjun's hand trembled harder. Sweat dripped from his forehead. His finger pressed against the trigger, but he couldn't pull it. The gun slipped from his hand, clattering onto the marble floor. He dropped to his knees, his chest heaving. The collapse. The police sirens wailed in the distance. Vikram's men had tipped them off. Arjun looked around wildly, like a trapped animal. His empire was gone, his allies gone, his power stripped. Maya, he whispered, his voice hollow. Why? Why couldn't you just forgive me? Maya knelt slightly, her eyes burning with years of buried fire. Forgiveness is for the innocent, Arjun. You were never innocent. You took joy in my suffering, and this is justice. The police stormed in. Arjun was dragged up roughly, his hands bound in cold steel. He didn't resist. His eyes never left Maya until he was pulled away. Aftermath days later, headlines screamed, Arjun Rathore sentenced, the empire falls. From power to prison, a king in chains. The world celebrated his downfall. But Maya didn't celebrate. She simply sat in silence on her balcony, staring at the rising sun. Vikram visited her. It's over. He can't hurt you anymore. Maya looked at him, her face unreadable. Is it really over, Vikram? Or have I only replaced one cage with another? Vikram frowned. You're free now. But Maya only whispered, freedom bought with ashes still smells of smoke. The Crown of Ashes month passed. The Rathore Empire was dismantled, its wealth seized, its name erased. Maya invested what remained into charities for women like her, broken, silenced, forgotten. She never remarried. She never sought luxury. She only wore one crown, the crown of her survival, forged in fire, built from ashes. At night, when she stood by the window, she often whispered to herself, they tried to bury me. They forgot. I was a seed. Final lines. The world remembered Arjun Rathore as a fallen king, but they remembered Maya as something greater. Not just a widow, not just a survivor, but a woman who turned her pain into power, her silence into storm, and her tears into vengeance. The vow had been broken, the vengeance complete, the crown restored.